So that's what I think of the gun on this jet. It's pretty good.
Hello. I am Aoyalaipe, and I like to hop into top-tier matches in War Thunder and then personally kill the entire enemy team by myself. Welcome to my channel. Yes, I'm finally covering the T-2. So there are two T-2s in the game, a Tech Tree one and a Premium one. They're both Japanese and they are essentially identical. In addition to the two T2s actually called T2, the F1 is basically an upgraded version of the T2. It's very similar, and most of what I say in this video will apply to that jet as well. I'm gonna lump it in with the T2s. So first things first, hello domination map. It's been a while. They stopped adding domination maps to the rotation in the queue above battle rating 10.7 because they were just complete random insanity, which is a shame because the complete random insanity was actually really fun. People were like, trying to land an airfield with 17 A9Ms flying at you is impossible, but you know, of course they forgot that it was really fun to watch people try to do that. You shouldn't have complained, it was fun. So the best way to describe a T2 is it's an F104 but better. On paper, the F104 is faster, but it's close to even in practice. And this jet will outrun basically everything else at the battle rating easily. However, the T2 has better missiles, and it can actually dogfight somewhat. The F104 can barely turn, but the T2 it can dogfight people. Like, it's not crazy good at it, but like you can actually do it, and the fact that you can do it at all actually is important for the strat. You'll see in a second. And the T2 gets AIM-9Ps, which are insanely good for this battle rating. The F104s only get AIM-9Bs, which are not particularly good missiles. They're basically drop tanks that don't carry gas. However, the unique selling point of this plane is actually its gun, which might sound really strange and not obvious to most people because this thing gets the M61 Vulcan. A million other planes get this gun, including the F104s, which this thing is most similar to. In fact, the M61 Vulcan is probably the most common gun in the game at top tier. It's the same gun that goes on basically every single copy-paste American jet from rank 7 onwards. So how is this possibly a unique selling point? The M61 Vulcan is just about the best air-to-air cannon in the game. It hits hard, it fires fast, and has fantastic muzzle velocity. This thing is a laser. It's like sniping people with a minigun. The problem is that virtually every jet that has this amazing gun exists at a battle rating where gun kills are an afterthought and missiles firmly reign supreme. I don't care how good your gun is, my AIM-9M or the Flavor of the Month Spam Ram will be a million times more useful. So what's special about the T2s and the F104s is they're just about the only jets that have the M61 and exist at a battle rating where missiles have not completely dominated the game yet. Now remember, the issue with using guns in rank 7 and 8 isn't just that missiles are better, it's that the planes are faster. It's a lot harder to hit a faster target. But down here in rank 6, the targets are substantially slower. So you have the big bad top tier gun, and you get to use it against slow targets in like lower top tier. So notice how I've just been like buzzsawing everyone all match, but I rather embarrassingly struggle to hit this F104 right here. That F104 player is going to be a lot faster than most players in this lobby, and speed actually plays the greatest role in throwing on someone's aim if they're directly on your 6 o'clock like I am to this F104. So it's much harder to hit him, even though to the untrained eye this looks like the easiest shot in the world. That's how important your target speed can be when trying to make a gun kill. In rank 7 and 8, everyone is moving as fast as that F104. That's why this gun isn't very effective. But if I use it against far slower planes such as, you know, every other player in this lobby, I can just buzzsaw all of them and make it look easy. That's the secret that makes this plane really good. You get to use this very good gun against slow planes. This gun and this plane are uniquely well synergized, and that is how you turn a very common gun into a unique advantage. And that's before you even get to the obvious stuff that's good about this plane, such as how nasty the AIM-9Ps are. The T2 gets extremely good missiles on top of its extremely good gun. So for example, I didn't quite manage to finish off this F9F with a gun, so I'm just going to flip around and blow him up with an AIM-9P. I mean, what's this crippled little plane going to do? Dodge my AIM-9P without flares? Like, no, you know, bye-bye. Side note, if you're playing the T2 in arcade, the effective range of your gun will significantly exceed the little arcade aiming dot in anything except a perfect rear aspect shot. And your jet is fast enough that even if you get close enough for the aiming dot to appear, the aiming dot generally won't appear in time to be useful because there's a delay to when it actually shows up. Like here, it doesn't even really show up until I've basically already killed the Saab 105. So the vast majority of this time, you will actually have to aim the gun yourself by eyeballing it, which is surprisingly easy because the unusually high velocity gives it an unusually flat trajectory, at least by the standards of this battle rating. The only real thing that holds the T2 back is that it doesn't have any countermeasures. This is the highest battle rating you can realistically be at where you can survive and thrive without countermeasures. Like anything after the T2, or especially the F1, it starts to get pretty dicey. But when it comes to the T2, you can use the basic tactics and strategies I've discussed countless times in all my other videos to avoid missiles, and using like the bare bone basics will solve 90% of your problem. and I'm not going to repeat them here because I repeat them all the time. And I have a dedicated guide that goes over the bare bone basics. I'll link it at the end of this video. It's called How to Always Dodge Every Missile or something like that. However, I will happily explain how the T2 solves the other 10% of the problem, like with the T2 specific features. To start, the T2 is really good at climbing, which kind of goes hand in hand with being a fast plane anyways. So at this battle rating, zoom climbing and then periodically swooping down like a vulture is actually a pretty good way to avoid missiles, because whenever you're up high, most missiles you'll encounter at this battle rating won't have the range to reach you, and the missiles that can reach you will at least lose a lot of their energy, so it's easy to outturn them. However, don't get used to this, because once you get into rank 7 and 8, flying up high means you get sniped with radar missiles. Next, the T2 can easily outrun missiles a lot of the time. If, say, like, you know, one of those premium Harriers gets behind you and launches, like, an AIM-9 whatever at you from 3 kilometers away, and you're already going at high speed to begin with, and then you just slam the afterburner and go in a straight line, you will outrun that missile. And even if the enemy attacks you from a closer range, like, you know, 1.5 or 2 kilometers away, the missile will hit you if you do nothing, yes, but it will take an unusually long time for it to actually reach you if you're just slamming, you know, your afterburner in a straight line. That missile will lose a lot of its energy while it's trying to catch up to you. So if you get used to timing it right, you can sit there and let the missile catch up most of the way to you and then outturn it, and it won't have nearly as much energy to follow you in the turn. So if you're having trouble dodging AIM-9Ds or AIM-9Js or whatever and you're flying this thing, this trick should fix it. However, remember, this stuff only works if you're already going at a high speed to begin with, but you don't necessarily know when people will attack you. So this means you should just generally keep your speed as high as possible, as often as possible, as a hedge against attacks. And lastly, outrunning missiles only works against rear aspect missiles, because you're flying away from them by definition, because the guy shooting you is at them is behind you. If you're instead flying towards a missile, your speed means you run into it faster. It actually works against you. The vast majority of the missiles the T2 encounters will be rear aspect only missiles, and almost all of the all aspect infrared missiles the T2 will encounter will be AIM-9Ls coming from A-10s. A-10s also happen to be big, slow targets, which makes them the easiest possible thing for a T2 to snipe with its giant high-velocity M61 Gatling cannon. So the way you deal with the AIM-9Ls is you just snipe the A-10s before they even get a chance of thinking about attacking you. It's extremely easy for a T2 to kill an A-10. And if you want to learn more about how to fly the T2, I actually suggest you go watch my F-104 guide, because the T2 can do anything the F-104 can do, and more. So almost everything I said about the F-104 applies here. You know, essentially the T2 is just extra. To be perfectly honest, this plane kind of ruined F-104s for me. Like, whenever I get an itch to fly an F-104, I'm just like, wait, I have a T2, I'll just fly that instead. Like, why would I ever fly an F-104 if I have a T2? It's the same thing, but better. In fact, the Japanese tech tree also has an F-104 at around the same battle rate as the T2. Now, if you're curious why the Japanese bought both the T2 and the F-104, the answer is bribery. Lockheed bribed Japanese government and airline officials to buy their sucky planes, one of which was the F-104. This turned into a scandal, and the end result was that a notorious Yakuza boss almost got 9/11 to buy a porn star. I swear to God, I'm not making that up. The porn star literally flew a plane into the guy's mansion and missed him, by the way. He was in a different room. Now, there is one more thing I need to mention, because otherwise I'm gonna get a million comments on it again, and that is, why does my afterburner look funny? And the answer is Dave. It's because of Dave. War Thunder gets a new major update every 3 months, except at the end of the year, when Gaijin throws in an extra update. So there's one 3-month span every year where 3 major updates drop. War Thunder CCs call this Dave season, and it's just a constant flow of new planes. So a lot of the stuff I filmed with older planes during Dave season gets delayed because people only want to hear about all the new stuff. One of the major updates at the end of last year changed how the afterburners looked. So now some of the footage I saved looks funny and my viewers notice. Yeah, I'm busted. So yes, I did actually film this particular match a few months ago, but please don't mistake that for me not liking this plane. This is one of the most fun, unique planes I've played in a while, and I grind out like half the Japanese tech tree with it. For context, I have footage of 20-0 kill streaks with 5 different planes I haven't made videos on yet, and I covered the T2 before any of those. That's how much I like this thing. These were the other 5. I might have time to squeeze another video or 2 in before the next major update, so leave a comment if you really want one of those jets covered. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Some of you might not believe me, but I wipe out teams a lot faster than I can edit the footage into proper videos. Remember, unlike realistic, arcade actually does give you enough ammo to kill the entire enemy team by yourself, so there's no skill cap. Oh hey, that F-100 almost rammed me. Wow, that would have been such a buzzkill. Oh, and I actually filmed this match shortly before Gaijin tweaked the T2's battle rating from 9.7 to 10.0 on arcade, which isn't really a huge change for this jet. It was objectively overpowered, and now it's merely incredibly incredibly awesome. The early F-104s were at 9.7, and the T-2 is objectively way better than them. I think the confusion came from the fact that the F-104s have a higher speed than the T-2 in realistic, but that's not the case in arcade, so the F-104 has no real advantage here. Gaijin sometimes screws up stuff like that, and then I just get to kill everyone and put it on YouTube. It's a fun time. So as you can see, the whole enemy team is just about dead now. There's just a few stragglers left around as the tickets tick down. I got 18 of them in a row, which is a pretty solid kill streak for a plane that only has 2 missiles, and I was rewarded with 3rd place on my team. And if you're like, how can that be? Well, there's a reason they got rid of domination matches after a certain battle rating. Anyways, don't forget to like and comment to feed the algorithm, and remember, if you subscribe and ring the bell, you won't need to remember how to spell Pay next time you want to watch one of my videos.